Ableton Move. Hey, I'm Squashed Out. This is going to be a unboxing and first impressions video, and I'll play a clip of the first few beats I've made in the first 24 hours of owning it. This video is sponsored by myself. I'm going to play a clip of my new EP, which you can stream. There'll be a link in the description. I'll play that at now or some point. I've been really digging using the KO2 lately. I can just kind of start music on the couch, get comfy, and start jamming. But a big problem with a lot of hardware is kind of like how Ricky Tines or Ricky Tines says, is you get that what now moment where you've got something going and then you want to bring it into the studio and finish it. And there's really no easy way to do that on this or a lot of hardware. It was like 3 days before Ableton Move was announced when I was sitting on my couch using this, wishing, wouldn't it be nice if something like this existed that was portable, standalone, but you could just easily get the stems into your DAW and keep working on it. Then just a few days later, Ableton Move was announced. It's a lot more than just a 4-track sequencer if you know how to set it up. So you may have seen some other videos talking about this, but each one of these can be a 16-pad thing. Each one of these pads can be played melodically, chromatically, or in scale. You get these 16 pitches. And what's cool is there's really no limit on the voice count. So you could have each one of these pads, as far as I understand, playing a sound on each one of these channels. So you could have 16 times 4 of each of these things going on. So that's enough to actually get a song going. Now, each thing is, and everything's stereo, unlike the KO2, where if you want most of your sounds to be in stereo, then you're only going to get 6 voices, which really sucks at the very most. So once you get like a kick, snare, hi-hat in like one element, you're kind of already done as far as what it's capable of doing. The only catch here is that these can play monophonically. You can't play a chord. You can get a sampler instrument in here and then play a chord, or use one of the built-in wavetable, drift, or other instruments that are already in here. But if you want to use your own samples that aren't just a sampler, and you want to use it on this drum track here, the only catch is that it has to be played monophonically per pad, but you can stack each pad. So you could still do chords, you would just need a chord sample. To my surprise, a lot of the built-in sounds are actually pretty good, so that was a nice touch. I wasn't really expecting that. I just kind of wanted good enough sounds to get a rough idea going. And that applies for some of them, but I actually quite like most of what I've heard. Yeah, another cool use for it is I started a drop idea inside of Ableton a couple days ago and had a couple drops ready and no idea what to do for the intro and the parts in between the drops. So I was like, I wonder if I could get that going on here, even though I started the drops in Ableton. So what I did is exactly that. I sampled the drops onto 2 of the pads, onto the pads on here, so I can trigger them as scenes almost, and then just made the intro and build up rough arrangement directly on here. And now I know exactly how to fully finish the song back in Ableton. So it's kind of cool. So in a way, you could think of it as going from Ableton to here, just in restrictive ways. You just got to get creative with it. If you really, really had to, or really, really wanted to, because each pad has its own filter and level adjustment, I'm sure you could get creative and try to jerry-rig up a way to DJ on this as well. One thing I look for when buying gear, especially if it's hardware and just digital and not analog, is if it can do something or make me make music in a way that I wouldn't normally, and this also achieves just that. One thing I really like about it is every time you load up a new set, it's already randomly put a drum kit here, usually like an 808 of some sort on this next one here, usually a chord thing or some sort of synth lead, and then another kind of similar thing like that, or acoustic piano sample bass thing or guitar thing here. And what's cool is that you end up using sounds you wouldn't normally go to, and I really like that. It's really cool. I've mostly got just positive things to say about it. I really only have one negative thing to say, and it could be user error. So if someone knows any better, or if I find out in the future how to do this, I will, say something in the comments below. But one thing is say you get a pattern going, drum pattern, let's say a kick pattern you like, and then let's say it's 2 bars long, and you want to extend it to a longer thing, let's say 8 bars. There's no easy way to like take notes just from like bar 2 specifically and put it on bar 7 or that kind of thing. It's so that's a little bit annoying. Hopefully that's just user error, but I'm not too sure. I haven't seen anything in the manuals or anything about that. There is one more negative, and that is if you do plan on using it the way I do, in the sense of maybe you've got a drop or a chorus or whatever in Ableton, or there's as one scenario where this is a con, you can sample that up to 4 minutes long onto the pads, but when you go to trigger them back, they can only be 60 seconds long. The workaround for this is that you'd have to use up multiple pads despite already sampling 4 minutes. So you'd have to think ahead, and like every 60 seconds, if your drop is longer than 60 seconds, then you would have to, for the next section, sample onto another pad. So hopefully they just update this, because it'd be really easy just to go in and make it so that you can adjust hold time. You can see here longer than, it goes up to 60 seconds if I press this down. The hold and the decay time only goes up to 60 seconds. So that's something they need to fix. All in all, I am very pleased with Ableton Move. If you're like me and using a mouse and keyboard for all your musical crap really hurts the hands, then having something like this that you can plop in the lap and just with kind of limited mobility, kind of just slap a pad and have it not be as much of a dead end as something like this, and actually still get some productive results that you can use in your songs later on is really nice. It does everything I could have wanted it to do and more, just with those 2 cons that I mentioned before. So yeah, I'm gonna play some of the beats that I've got sketched out already on the Move. Nothing crazy, but you can kind of get an idea of the rough ideas you can get going. The sound's gonna be in mono. I just moved, so I don't have all my video cables and stuff. Move is not mono. It's stereo, and some of the synths and stuff and sounds it comes with sound really great in stereo. But yeah, so just if you're wondering about why it sounds mono and bad, that's one reason why. But okay, so I'm gonna run through some of the projects I've started. I've got a few here. Factory ones are down at the bottom. I'm gonna start off with one that I think can really show the potential of how much of a sketchpad / full idea box making thing, whatever you want to call it, it can do. So let's go into this set. And so this is the one where I started with, the idea started inside Ableton actually, a couple of drop ideas I had, which I've sampled into here through here. Again, it's going to be in mono, no idea what it's going to sound like in mono. Hopefully it's not too trash. Just a random idea for the video, but anyways, good enough to get the point across. So I started with sampling those in, as well as a couple sounds from the song. It's low passed right now. That's what sounds a bit weird. But then I can make a build and an intro idea And yeah, and I did just that. I ended up using legit all the sounds that randomly came up when I started a new set on the Move. Each one was useful. So you could add some effects, some sweeps, get the intro going. So you get the idea. And I actually just kind of came up with an idea, and I'm going to input this now so you can kind of see how that would work. I think that second part of the drop would be cool with maybe an added element, maybe something a little bit more melodic. So I'm going to go back into here, and just going to enter that in. Might come in handy. So there's that. So yeah, I think that's a cool song structure to flesh out later in Ableton. Let's see what else we got on here. Right, so this one is a intro idea for a dubstep song. And yeah, something kind of wonky and cool. Something you might hear from Joey B, Noir. Yeah, just kind of a goofy beat. Rough idea for the build. So you kind of get the idea. And then just a kind of some rough MIDI for something for the drop that I could sound design and flesh out later in Ableton. So, you know, cheesy sounds for now, but in my head I know exactly how I could finish this into a song. So for me it was really helpful. And then some non-dubstep stuff I think is what we got going on. Oh, and another kind of wonky, goofy, like Joey B-ish Sizzy intro. Oh, this is actually a really cool idea for like a deep dubstep song, something you might hear from like the new Skrillex album, something kind of deep and old school. Obviously I would go into Ableton and change all these sounds once again, but more than enough to get the MIDI and rough idea down. You can see if you did something kind of similar to like Must Die's new sound design and stuff like that, you could really flesh it out into something deep, distorted, and cool. So again, I could do something bass music-y with that, or keep it just the beat. Something a bit more dancey. So again, another dubstep transition-y kind of thing. Sounds way better in stereo. Wish I could share that right now, but that's all good. But yeah, that's my first impressions of Ableton Move. I know I'm gonna get a lot of use out of it. Let me know what you think. Are you gonna grab one? Gonna wait? I know they're planning on a lot of updates, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But thanks for watching. Please check out my EP if you're into bass music. And yeah, see you next time.